What is up, guys? It's DoubleWinning, and welcome to episode 13 of How to Get Out of ELO Hell. This episode is going to be about coming off tilt. Sometimes you queue up for a game and you're already on tilt, or sometimes you just have some bad things happen at the very beginning of a game, and you notice yourself quickly playing a lot worse than you usually play, and a lot of this comes down to just being on tilt. So this episode is going to be all about trying to come off tilt mid-game when bad things happen. In this game, I picked Kassadin and was counterpicked by Pantheon. A terrible situation happens in which my jungler, who I'm duo queued with, comes and we both end up dying, giving Pantheon a double kill and double buffs. Normally, this would put anyone who's not at peak conditions on tilt. However, following that, I even TP down bot, blow my flash, and miss out on a potentially really easy kill. So it's pretty safe to say that after that, at this point, I'm on tilt, even if I don't even realize it mid-game. First off, I want to say that even if you realize you're on tilt, sometimes the damage is already done and you've given your opponent the advantage. So this fight to get off tilt is not in your favor. You're fighting an uphill battle. Instead, most of the time coming off tilt is giving your team the chance to carry you. Coming off tilt can sometimes mean turning the game around and carrying, but most of the time it's just about not sucking enough, just enough that your team isn't influenced, and then they can carry you. I'm sure you've had those games where you're 2-0 mid or 2-0 top and your bot lane 0-5 and you're just saying, please just play safe, stop dying. This is what I'm talking about. Just try and minimize your losses. Once you've sort of stopped the bleeding, you can try and become relevant. You do this through pressure and farming. When you're not getting your face pounded in, it's a lot easier to come off tilt. You have to remember to stay focused though, because one of the best ways to come off tilt is making a play. The lower elo you are, the more opportunities you will have for this. People in solo queue make mistakes, period. It's up to you to be in the right positive mindset to be able to take the opportunities that are presented. If that means muting your team, playing sweet lullaby music, or getting over your damn ego, so be it. You have to be ready. In this clip, I teleport bot lane, and while I still make mistakes, I'm able to influence the game in a positive way. I was a little hesitant at first since I was half health and low mana, but sometimes you just have to take the risk, you know. I kill Leona right here, and then I get a really close outplay on Wukong here by auto-Wing him with in the bush so he doesn't have vision, and then I'm off to the races with an angry Spartan chasing me like I stole his sweet roll from his bakery. And then with a little cheesy port over the wall, I'm able to escape, successfully making a play and taking me one step further from coming off of tilt. Also, like I said before, this is an uphill battle. You're going to get knocked down and you're going to want to give up, rage quit, rage at your teammates, just get the game over with, move on to the next one, etc. Just because you made a play and air quote, came off tilt, air quote, means nothing to the enemy team. You're still going to make mistakes, and it's up to you to stay strong and stop the bleeding, and look for plays. Another small thing I want to note here is that I try my best to build reactively instead of copy-paste from some MOBA Fire or solo mid guide. Their whole team is AD, so I rushed a Seeker's Arm Guard in an attempt to not get slaughtered by Pantheon. If I rushed a Catalyst, I would have gotten bullied by the raw damage of Pantheon, more so if I bought straight tier. Some of the simplest plays you can make is objectives, picks, pressure, and warding. Stick with your team to quickly sneak things like Dragon, then if the opportunity presents itself, try to catch out enemies like we do with this Leona. It's solo queue, those opportunities will be there. If they aren't, it means you have no pressure, no wards, or just no confidence. That's not to say these things will come easy. The enemy team wants to win also. A frequent thing I see in games, which is absolutely stupid, and well, I do it too, you come off as stupid for saying it. It's the classic, I died for you, or I shouldn't have tried to save you, lol, etc. Evaluate the situation. Should you try to save them? If not, then don't. If you die trying to save someone, you made the judgment call. Either turn the fight, get a different objective, or cut your losses. Here, Udyr made the call to leave Morg. I said we should try and get her out. If I was wrong, I was wrong. But I would own up to the call. Fortunately, we were able to get Morgana out. Have you guys ever had a situation where you got caught and then your whole team died only to go and blame the whole situation on you? Or maybe you got ganked up top by mid and their jungler only for your team to just keep farming and not take dragon or bot tower or something like that. Post in the comments below about your most frustrating scenario and we can see who's had it worst. While you're at it, if you could like the video and share with your friends, it'd be much appreciated as it really does help support me and encourages me to make more videos. Thanks guys. Also, if you haven't, check out the rest of my How to Get Out of ELO Hell series. I'll have the link to the playlist in the description below. Also, if you're looking to come back in a game, you also have to think about what your character does and what they can do from the situation you're in. If you're someone with a killer late game, say like Aurelia, Jax, or Vayne, you could potentially just try and farm it out. And by what I mean by this is you can try and pressure lanes, keep your rewards up, so you can just constantly get waves and waves of farm, or by farming double golems, things like that. So you can kind of get to that 3, 4, 5 item stage where you'll be really, really good. Even if you're down 5,000 gold, maybe that 5,000 gold doesn't mean as much because you're a late game scaling champion. Also, maybe you're an assassin who needs a power spike, like Fizz when he gets his DFG and his Lichbane, or Zed when he gets his Blade of the Rune King and like Brutalizer. If you're an assassin like this, you need to make sure that you're in an ideal scenario that you can try and get a pick on potentially their weakest player. And what I mean by this is, you know, I play a lot of Fizz, so if I'm Fizz and I got my DFG and I have my Lichbane, I need to make sure I have my DFG up, my Ignite is up, maybe my Flash is even up, you know, my ultimate is up, and then I need to try and get a pick in a situation that is completely safe. I might, you know, need to keep up wards so I can see these opportunities easier, or I might even need to kind of get a 2 to 3 man, you know, gank squad to get this pick. And you know, you need to make sure you're not just wasting your stuff almost getting a pick. You know, killing or doing 90% of damage to someone and not getting a kill on an assassin is not good if you don't get the kill. You just wasted more time, and they're going to get more defense and more resistances while you're not actually snowballing the game. Now, there is you know, a rough time if you're a character who is an early game champion who doesn't scale that well. And if you find yourself in a situation where you've gone on tilt and you're kind of snowballing backwards, it might be better to just kind of stop building damage after your first item and just kind of maybe become like a tanky initiator. What I mean by this is, someone like Pantheon, if you fall behind early, it might be just better to stop after your first damage item and just build maybe like a Randuin's, or you know, maybe like a Hex Shrinker or something that's going to allow you to kind of tank a little bit of damage and then still be a tanky initiator. You see this a lot with if you're playing like Renekton and you fall behind, you know, maybe after your Hydra or even your Tiamat, you know, you don't need to build the lifesteal if you're not even surviving. You can build, you know, your Sunfire, the Randuin, things like that to make yourself still relevant to your team. If you're an 80 carry, maybe it's better to hold off on lifesteal, since it doesn't really matter if you have lifesteal if you're doing 0 damage or you're just getting popped instantly. In this particular game, you'll see I went very armor heavy, allowing me to not only be my tank's initiator, but I can also tank the enemy team a lot, so I can apply utility through slows and absorb damage from their primarily AD team. If I built a bunch of damage, I wouldn't be able to pop someone instantly. Instead, I would just go in, I would deal 75% damage, and then I would die instantly. So what I did is I built a lot of armor, I built, you know, mana, so I'm still scaling, but my armor and my little bit of damage is going to allow me to get tons of spell rotations. I'm going to be able to tank, I'm going to be able to apply utility so my team can try and carry me, and I'm going to be able to survive, except, you know, in that situation I didn't survive. But if I was snowballing the game, if I was doing really, really well, I wouldn't have built this tanky. I would have built more damage so I could just pop someone instantly and then get out. Recognizing what you need to build, what you need to do in the game, and what you need to maybe max, or, you know, just different things in the game, what you need to ward, etc., is the key to coming off of tilt and coming off, you know, and reversing a snowball that's coming against you. So recognizing what you need to do is key. So you guys need to be able to do that. You need to be able to crush their mistakes and abuse the few that they may give you. I've had games where we're 15k behind and they make one mistake, and then my team didn't take any risks after that. They team fought again and we lost. If you don't take any risks after they make one mistake, then you're gonna lose. It's better to take that one risk and lose a game you're already going to lose than to just lie down and take the loss. What I mean is, if they make that one mistake and you just stay in your base and they come to team fight again and you lose, what you could have done is you could have pushed out a lane and maybe, you know, had teleport up, or maybe had a split pusher, or done anything rather than just let the game play out in their favor. You got to shake it up. You got to get a little greedy. Like you can see in this clip, instead of going with my team mid and guaranteeing that we got the tower and inhib safely, I decided to get a little bit greedy, push the bot tower, get some damage on that bot tower, and yes, I did get a little lucky in the fact that I was able to get away here and blow the Leona flash, which I didn't know actually in game. But it was that greed to kind of push a little bit more advantage for my team that really helps out here. Of course, it doesn't really matter here in a second because they're going to get that dragon, kind of solidify that gold that we had gotten from that tower, but it still does provide a little bit of map pressure. Now, one thing I need to stress is that a game can be lost on one mistake. That includes your own. I've had a 20-minute surrender game dragged out to 45 minutes before, only to have a player get caught and the game to be over in the next minute. I mean, I've probably had that happen like 100 times, but I've played, 3,000 plus games. Matchmaking is designed to have you win only 50% of your games. It's really up to you to try and make that 51%. Win or lose, after a long comeback fought game, you really should take a break. If you lose, you should definitely take a break. Because after these kind of games, it's exhausting. There's nothing worse than re-queuing after using all your positive energy in the previous game just to stay afloat and get that comeback, only to have another rough game. These techniques are meant to scratch and claw your way into making the win for your opponent as difficult as possible. Ideally, you come into a game with a great outlook, your mistakes don't put you on tilt, and you play at your peak the whole game and eventually win. However, we all know this is not how it always works. So in summary, be calm when things go terribly wrong and try and stop the bleeding. Be mindful and look for plays when they're presented. People in solo queue make mistakes. Exploit them. You're fighting an uphill battle. Don't get frustrated when your efforts are thwarted over and over and over. You will continue to make mistakes, so don't lose hope. Build reactively to the game. Don't just build whatever you usually build or whatever you build when you're ahead. Put your champion in ideal circumstances. Try to minimize playing into your opponent's strategy. Try to make small plays that can snowball into bigger things. Try your best to make decisive calls, decisions, and admit when you're wrong, but don't blame your team. Mute your team if you need to. Abuse the enemy's mistakes while minimizing your own. One mistake can cost a game if you're behind. And remember guys, these techniques are not guaranteed, but they rather give you a fighting chance. So make sure you don't requeue after a hard-fought game, especially if you lose. Play something else, take a break, etc. I really hope this video helps you guys out, and I'm really happy I was able to make it. And also, I'm really excited to hear what you guys have to say about it. So, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and check out my Twitter at twitter.com/DoubleWinning and my Facebook over at facebook.com/DoubleWinning. I like interacting with you guys, so go check them out. Also, if you didn't know, I stream pretty regularly over at twitch.tv/DoubleWinning. So come check it out, drop a follow, and I hope to see you guys there. And as always, guys, stay classy and keep winning.